Setting up a display advertisement is very similar to a search ad, but with a few differences. So we'll start again here on our dashboard at adwords.google.com. And this time, we can now see the campaign we created earlier. The process of creating a display ad is similar, but we're going to instead use the display network. So to do that, I'll choose the Add Campaign option, the red button here on the left, and then choose Display Network Only from the dropdown. Just as we did before, we'll give it a name, and then pick some settings. I'll go ahead and do that now. Next to type, we have some additional options. Here we're pre-selected to all features, but we can also look at remarketing, engagement, mobile app installs, and ads in mobile apps. Now I'm only going to focus on leaving this at the default of all features. And we'll continue scrolling down. Just as we did with our other ad, we'll select our location targeting. Again, the more specific, the better. We can choose languages, and then look at our bid strategy and set a budget. For this, I'll set a budget of $50 per day. Here we can continue to scroll down and set ad extensions if we needed to, and we could drill into each of these advanced setting targets if we had additional settings that we felt were necessary. In this case, I'm going to stick with the basics and just choose Save and Continue. Next, we need to create an ad group, and this is where we'll set all of our targeting. So we'll start by giving it a name and selecting a default bid. Here I'll choose $25. Now, the difference with the display network versus the search network is how we can target our ads. In addition to keywords, which is the first option here under How to Target Your Ads, we also have the option to target on interests and remarketing lists, as well as using different targeting methods. So if I select the first radio option, Display Keywords, we can, just as we did with search, enter keywords around our key topic. So I could put in sports drink and then choose Add Keywords here in the bottom, and it'll add the keyword, and on the right-hand side, it'll estimate how many impressions total are available. And that number's a little inaccurate because it'll depend on your bids and other targeting, such as location. Now I can choose the left chevrons next to the sports drink words to remove those keywords. And then let's click on the second radio option, Interests and Remarketing. Here's where it gets really neat. We can find users that have an affinity towards certain things. So the first thing that we can do is choose from the Select Category dropdown. We can look at affinity audiences, which are large numbers of consumers based on their interests long-term. We can look at in-market audiences, which are people actively searching for things that you have, or even other interests. So if I select affinity audiences, I can then search for a term or browse through the options below. And if you see this little arrow icon next to a category, it means you can drill down to see subcategories. So if you were looking for motorcycle enthusiasts, this would be the right affinity for you. You can also search for a term. In this case, I'll search for coffee and then hit search. What happens is Google's going to look at their list and find things that are related. In this case, it's suggesting cooking enthusiasts or foodies. And when you're ready, you can choose the double right chevrons here to add it to our list. One thing that's really neat is you'll notice this eye icon, and if I select that, it's going to show me the actual demographic breakdown of this affinity group. So here we can see the age ranges, the gender, and even their parental status, which means if they're a parent or not a parent. I'll go ahead and choose Close in the bottom left to remove this window. If we wanted, we can choose from the dropdown again where it says Affinity, and this time choose In-Market Audiences. Here I can run the same search for coffee, but you'll see that now it brings back small appliances, coffee, and espresso makers. So you can see that's very different. This is an in-market audience. This is someone that is looking to buy a coffee and espresso maker versus somebody who is a cooking enthusiast. Now you can add both of these, and I'll go ahead and do that, which will give us cooking enthusiasts and coffee and espresso makers. It's not going to look for coffee and espresso makers who are cooking enthusiasts, right? It's going to separate the two. Now, as I scroll down, we do have the option, however, to narrow this targeting further. So if you were looking for cooking enthusiasts or coffee and espresso makers and something, we could scroll down here and choose the plus icon next to narrow your targeting further and choose another targeting method. So we could target by age or even additional topics or keywords. And you can set that however makes most sense to your ad group. The other thing you can do is allow AdWords to automatically find new customers for you. And if you enable this by choosing the checkbox, Google is going to start out with conservative targeting, which is going to find some customers at your current cost per customer. I'm going to leave this disabled as it's sort of an advanced feature. Once you're done, choose Save and Continue. So it's here that we'll go about creating our ad. And at first, we can create a text ad to display on the display network, much like we created our search ad. But if you're looking to run image ads, you'll choose Image Ad from the option in the upper left-hand corner. And here's where you'll upload your actual creative. And you'll do that by choosing Upload an Ad, or you can drag the file from your computer right into this window. You'll then need to give it a name, a display URL, and the URL that you want the user to arrive on when they click the ad. Once you've finished uploading, you'll just choose Save and Continue to Billing or Save Ads if you've already added your billing information. Now, one thing I want to point out is that when you go about creating your ad, consider using the most popular sizes. And to show you those, I'm going to pull up some documentation from Google where you can see some examples. So here I'm on the support.google.com site, and I've pulled up a list of their recommended display ads. So as I scroll down, you can see here the different sizes that you want to consider for creating your first display ad. We have the medium rectangle, which is 300 by 250 pixels, the large rectangle, and the leaderboard, which is most often used at the very top of a website, and that one's 728 by 90. And then below that, we have the large skyscraper, which is sort of a longer and skinnier ad. Your display ad has to be very well designed to resonate well with your audience, and you should make sure that you include a strong call to action. You'll notice that these examples have buttons to learn more or order now. Display advertising requires a lot of testing. There are many variables to consider. Everything from how you target to how your ads look will impact your results. You can also leverage interactive banners and animated banners as you build out your online portfolio. If you're serious about display advertising, I'd continue to explore the ins and outs by watching some of our other courses here on lynda.com. And if you're just getting started, I'd recommend sticking with text ads, and then as you get more and more experienced, you can slowly work your way into running some of these display advertising tests.